My being here with the United Way of King County, I would absolutely say it is about evolution.
This is Hourglass, the podcast for United Way of King County in Seattle. Coming up, a conversation with Dr. Catherine Cushinberry, United Way's interim CEO. Dr. Cushinberry took over as interim CEO when President and CEO Gordon McHenry Jr. stepped down in June. Hourglass sat down with Dr. Cushinberry for this episode to discuss topics that include her background and work, her interim role at United Way, and the relationship between nonprofits and philanthropy. We will also hear from United Way Board Chair Lisa Chin on why the board chose Dr. Cushinberry to lead the organization at this time, as well as where the process for selecting a permanent president and CEO currently stands. And we'll hear about an upcoming happy hour and hellos event and a local volunteer opportunity. I'm your host, Joe Burris. Thanks for tuning in. In June, United Way of King County President and CEO Gordon McHenry Jr. decided that now is the right time to begin the transition to the organization's next generation of leadership. Gordon stepped down as CEO after more than 5 years at the helm, and he agreed to stay on through the end of the year as president of United Way, where he oversees specific work critical to our organization. United Way's new president and CEO will be only the organization's third in 25 years, and that person will continue our work to address issues and concerns in King County communities as we have done since our inception in 1921. United Way's board of directors have begun the process of selecting Gordon's successor. In the meantime, the board in July named Dr. Catherine Cushinberry, an accomplished nonprofit leader and former CEO of HopeLink, as United Way's interim CEO. Dr. Cushinberry brings more than 30 years of experience to the role, having served at national organizations, grassroots nonprofits, and in higher education. A Memphis resident, Dr. Cushinberry has led organizations in the U.S., Canada, and in the Philippines. That includes HopeLink, a Redmond-based nonprofit that helps more than 64,000 low-income residents annually with programs and resources needed to exit poverty. Prior to HopeLink, Dr. Cushinberry served as executive director of City Year, a national service program in Memphis that unites young adults from diverse backgrounds for a year of full-time community service. And she was the director of research at the National Office of Girls, Inc., where she created and led research and evaluation initiatives for more than 30 affiliates in the U.S. and Canada. Hourglass sat down with Dr. Cushinberry to discuss topics that included her background and work, the things she enjoys about this area, her interim role at United Way, and the relationship between nonprofits and philanthropy. Here's what she had to say.
I just have to say what an honor it is to serve as the interim CEO of the United Way of King County. It's just such a respected and trusted organization, and super grateful for the leaders who have come before me, Gordon and I think John Fine before that, correct? Just grateful for their leadership and the foundation that they've set and those before them, because I believe the current mayor's wife, I think, had been the CEO as well. So big shout out to her as well. So I knew more than 2 years ago that I wanted to go into consultancy.
Okay.
And I know that my specialty, I always tell people, if you want to wonder what it is you're meant to do in this life, look at your history. And my history said change management. It's what I do really, really well.
Good.
I'm able to work with organizations, and above and beyond the interim work, I also work with organizations around strategic planning, board and staff retreats, and also helping to help organizations figure out how to best partner with other entities and navigate those very rough waters. But specifically for interim, it was actually a conversation and exposure to the Voltus Group. So I have my own consulting firm, and Voltus is a consulting group here in the Pacific Northwest that is partnering with organizations here in Seattle area, Western Washington more broadly, Eastern Washington, so across the state, Portland, as well as Colorado and Denver. And when I went into full business for myself, someone introduced me, a couple of people mentioned Voltus. And it was there that they talked to me about the interim opportunity. And I was like, oh, wait, hold on. Let me get this right. I could take my skill set, bring it to an organization. And also, let me be clear, I specifically work with organizations that could benefit from my change management experience and knowledge, right? So it's not, if there's an organization that needs to just tread water and hold the line to the next executive, that's not what I do. Mm-hmm. So there's a very unique and niche way that I work with organizations as an interim. So the lure for me was, wait a minute, so I can go in and be trusted by the board through the process that we go through for them to select me as the interim. And I can take time to assess the organization. I can make recommendations to the board, and then I could actually live out and execute those in partnership with the organization and the board. And then I can make it nice and ripe and ready for the next executive. What a dream, right? What a dream, because I always operate, Joe, from a place of if it were me, what kind of organization would I want to walk into?
Absolutely.
How do I want it to be? I don't want to come in there and do a bunch of cleanup and changes and adjusting and transition from one. I want to come in and hit the ground running. So that is what I have an opportunity to do as an interim. I always say I get to help in partnership with the organization, board, staff, and especially the community and funders to create a beautiful and lovely runway for the next executive to be able to come in and just take off. I'll share this as well, because sometimes when people hear interim, they think, oh, well, we'll wait until the new executive comes in. This is the time to lean in. So when that executive comes in, they feel like, man, I'm ready to just roll with it.
Right.
So I'm always thrilled with that. But it was the introduction to Valtus and the opportunity to do this kind of work specifically in partnership with them, and especially in the Pacific Northwest, where I really do love it here. And I've also done it in the Midwest as well, served as an interim for a couple of organizations prior to this one. So it's a lovely space to be in, and I get to peek my head in, come in, do really great work for several months, get to know an organization, learn along the way as well. Right? Because for me, it is a bidirectional process. I'm learning about the organizations, but I better be growing too, right? I'm going to learn from the team members and the experience. So it's lovely. Brings me quite joy.
And so for those of us in our community that are now looking at you at United Way, and what would you say to them about this process?
Yeah, the process of
the change management in United Way.
Yeah. So I would say to those of you who are watching and understanding now what I'm here to do, I certainly would say for the United Way, I'm here with an opportunity to transition the organization from a really outstanding leader in Gordon to really trying to understand how then in that transition do I shore up as a result of transitions and changes that come with a shift in leadership? How do I make sure as part of that transition that I shore up this space in every way so that nothing is lost in translation and that it is as solid as it can be for the next iteration of leadership? And I get an opportunity, what I did not mention, is to be able to share with the board of directors, like, given this transition time I've had with the organization, given the recommendations I made and the changes, here's what I would recommend in the next iteration of leadership. So this is my being here with the United Way of King County. I would absolutely wrap it up in one word to say it is about evolution. I have over 30 years of experience in nonprofit work, and it has ranged from education reform, the broader space of youth development, as well as social service. And what I share often, Joe, with people is that my focus, my passion is children, youth, and families. Mm-hmm. So any kind of work that touches that space that can have the potential to have positive and long-lasting impacts on children, youth, and families, that's where I lean in. So that's why that range of like education, social service, because it all sits under the same umbrella for me. And what got me into this space is, one, very early on, I got exposed to nonprofit work. Before, I think it was just after I finished my undergraduate at Murray State University. Plug for Murray State, go Racers.
Go Racers.
But then I think layered on top of the interest in nonprofit as a field was a look back at my life. Right. So when I look at the opportunities that were created for me through nonprofit organizations along my lifespan, when I look at the resources and support that my family received along the way, whether it was around rental assistance, food insecurity, public transportation, I could go on. All of those things, when I look at that, I don't know the people who helped put those resources in place, but they were in place. And I don't mind being one of those people that people don't know is putting things in place. But what I do care about is who is on the other end, who can breathe a sigh of relief, right? And know that there is something, a resource available for them that is high quality and well in place for them as they navigate to their what next in their life. And that's what has me here. I care deeply about that.
United Way Board Chair Lisa Chin spoke on why the board chose Dr. Cushinberry to lead the organization at this time, and where the process for selecting a permanent president and CEO currently stands.
One of the reasons why Dr. Cushinberry is our top choice and is exactly the right person to lead United Way of King County during these times is because Dr. Cushinberry not only has deep experience as a leader of large organizations that perform a number of functions, but Dr. Cushinberry's own personal worldview so aligns with the mission of United Way. She is one of the most community-oriented, thoughtful, dynamic leaders we've ever met. And, you know, Joe, United Way has as its mission to uplift our neighbors, to support the communities in which we live, and to elevate the voices of those who are the most disaffected by the current systems that run our cities, counties, and run our lives. And Dr. Cushinberry has demonstrated across her broad experience that not only does she deeply understand what local is, but she understands the larger systemic impacts that an organization like the United Way can have. So while our focus is on each person at a time, one person at a time, and I watched Dr. Cushinberry build relationships one person at a time, the collective impact of all of our voices together and the power that we can have if we harness those voices effectively is something I've seen Dr. Cushinberry do, not just in her previous roles throughout the state and as well as the country, but also as she's walked through the halls of United Way. I have seen her warmth, her laughter, her smile, and her ability to very quickly meet people where they are and then sort of translate that into a higher level of how do we together become more effective.
And then for our listeners, just to give an update on where the search process for the next president and CEO stands right now.
So the board is convening a search committee, and we are very shortly going to move into the phase of putting out either an RFQ or RFP to different search firms to come and let us know who's interested. And then we will be hopefully launching that process more publicly in the next few months. But we've already begun the work. We have a chair and a co-chair of the search committee. We have a number of members from the board of the search committee. And again, we're in the very beginning stages, but we want to move quickly, but not hastily, and be thorough in making sure that we have all the appropriate voices at the table.
We continue our discussion with Dr. Cushinberry, who spoke about the common traits she's seen among communities and the places she's worked, the things that makes this area unique, and the roles of nonprofits and philanthropy.
I think some of the common things that I've seen across these different places that I've lived is that there are people who have gifts, talents, they're smart, And what they need is support. They need a scaffold. So I see that consistently. There's no place I've lived where I've ever thought, oh my goodness, they don't need me. They don't need our resources. They all do need it, but also I'm not in any of those spaces there to save them. And none of them need my saving. Nobody, not in any place I've been. And so that is the theme. If I could say that there was a thread of commonality, is that I've seen some very talented people. I've seen children with so much potential. And that is the reality of the state of our country. I think there are people who are so talented and so smart. And that is what I see. And I've been very fortunate to see in in every place I've been.
And so as you think about then coming here, what are some commonalities with being here? And what are some aspects about this place that makes it unique?
Yeah. I will tell you, let me start with the latter, if that's okay, the uniqueness of it. Right. So I'm originally from Memphis, Tennessee, and what we have, our body of water, is the muddy Mississippi. Now, it doesn't look like that in Michigan. Mississippi doesn't look like that. Absolutely. It isn't muddy, but in Memphis, it's the muddy Mississippi. And I don't recall seeing children, and they can't swim in the muddy Mississippi. They can't play in the muddy Mississippi. So one of the key things that stands out to me is the beauty of this place and space, the topography, the access to nature, and an appreciation for the ecosystem and the environment, and how that connects with, like, how are we pouring into communities and people and young people and children as future leaders and owners of this space. So that's the uniqueness there. Like, that's the thing. So I see the talent and the smarts everywhere. And here I see the connectivity to all of that and the ability to have some really unique lived experiences that allow children and families tactile exposure. Like, it doesn't matter where you live in this area, you can almost see Mount Rainier anywhere.
Absolutely.
Meanwhile, in other places that I've been, I have to read about. Right. So I think that there's a beauty to this space and this place that and accessibility to environmental experiences, climate experiences that make this so unique, and I think contributes to a worldview for families and children that I have not seen anywhere else. As a matter of fact, it has contributed to my worldview in a way that I have not experienced, though very well traveled abroad and domestically. This is a really special place.
Great. And now, as you do the work in nonprofit, particularly as it relates to children and families, when you think about when you went into it, and then once you felt like you were seasoned, if you had to say, prior to entering this work, I did not know about blank, what would that blank be?
Absolutely. I did not know about how connected the work was to policy and legislation and the relationship to all of it. I didn't understand it. I would just see the resources like this really early on, right? I'm 50. So we're talking about 19-year-old Catherine. And all I knew was that there might be a grant and you apply for the grant and then you do the work, but not understanding how influential politics and legislation is in helping to bring some of this work to life, or the impact of philanthropy in all of this, and how people giving can influence what can be done or can be done within the same organization. It's like that nuance between restricted and unrestricted dollars,
Absolutely.
Which, by the way, if you're listening, please give unrestricted. Don't put restrictions. If you trust, this is a thing that I say, Joe, if a funder or a donor trusts an organization enough to invest in it, trust it enough that it will use the funds in the right place, given the organization's proximity to the need of the community. So that's something that I would say, those are things that I didn't know early on that I have a greater appreciation for now. And that's the connectedness to all of these systems, especially politics, legislation, and also the space of philanthropy.
And when I was working with in the foundation of philanthropic world, and we were working with grantees, particularly in the South, there was always that back and forth between service and advocacy.
Mm-hmm.
And here we call it service and systems change. And sometimes it was really challenging to get activist groups, advocacy groups working with organizations that just did service. How do those two things intertwine? And as far as you're concerned, what is the role of the two of them as they're presumably both trying to serve the same communities?
Yeah, I want to also note that's how I know you, because you were in a foundation and I was leading an organization that you were overseeing the funds for as a program officer. So before I take another step, thank you for the support and the service that you provided while I was in that space. It was a blessing to the organization and the people in Mississippi and even further, because there were chapters across the country that benefited from the headquarters being in Mississippi. So thank you for that. I certainly believe, I'm a systems theorist, so I believe that every part of a system must work together in cooperation, and everything is inextricably intertwined, but nothing is mutually exclusive. In that, I mean that if an organization is advocating for something, it has to be for the sake, it is connected to some organization or entity's ability to bring something to life, to execute. And in order for someone or an organization to execute something, you've got to have others who have another vantage point, who can stand up and speak and rally on behalf of whatever that movement or that need is. So for me, it is about how are these entities communicating? And there are some organizations out there that are really thoughtful about bringing and convening organizations and advocacy groups together to create policy recommendations or platforms or legislative agendas. So I think that is where there is an opportunity for alignment, so that it's not one trying to do and another trying to advocate, but really trying to find where there is that the overlap in what they're interested in together, in order to move the needle. I think it is when we work in these separate silos and separate spaces and places where we're unable to move as powerfully as we can as a community. So where there are also organizations that are working to create forums, to create ways to coalesce the service side along with the legislative policy advocacy side, I'm 100% for, because they need each other.
Right.
They need each other.
Exactly. And I'm reading so much about what is the role of philanthropy right now, as you're seeing the threats of and actual directives that are cutting nonprofit funding from the government. How can nonprofits frame that message where it really is effective?
Ooh. You're giving me a lot of power here. What can be the most effective for the space, the philanthropic space, relative to the importance of their role and presence in this very moment for nonprofits? Is that the question, as I understand it?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I would certainly start by saying that, and I want to start as a continuation of a comment I made a minute ago around unrestricted and restricted. Yeah. I think that this is a time when those in philanthropy, if they are looking to invest in organizations, this is the time when I think you really shore up what partnership really means, right? Let's take this on in a personal space. If I have a partner, if they are my partner, I hope I trust my partner. Or I hope I believe that I can depend on my partner. And I hope also that my partner will do things with my best interest in mind. And so if I translate that over back into this philanthropic and nonprofit space, is I'm hoping that one of the ways that I can be a voice and supportive of nonprofits as a bridge is reminding and encouraging those in philanthropy that we are partners. This is our work. And we need them to be partners with us and to trust us. And in turn, nonprofits have to lean into what does that mean to be trustworthy to those in philanthropy. But that is it. Like, if we believe that, if we think that we are truly stronger together than we are separate, then that's the investment that I would encourage those in philanthropy to make, is to make the investment in the partnership to trust and get to know that these organizations are doing what we know, what we hear and what we see in the community that is real and needed, and invest in that and know that we cannot do it without them.
Thank you so much for your time.
Joe, thank you. It's a pleasure always.
Perfect. Check out our website for Dr. Cushinberry's monthly Interim CEO blog and for updates on our permanent president and CEO search. Log on to uwkc.org. We're bringing back happy hour and hellos. Join us on October 14th at Nordstrom at South Center Mall for the latest installment of our networking series that allows professionals to mix and mingle over refreshments, learn more about the work United Way of King County is doing in our community, and about ways to get involved. The event begins at 6 p.m. For more information, log on to uwkc.org/events. Looking for a volunteer event? Join us on October 11th at El Centro de la Raza in Seattle to craft flowers and organize auction items for El Centro's annual Building the Beloved Community Gala. Take part in an exciting event that raises funds for 43 programs and services that benefit more than 20,000 individuals and families across our region. El Centro needs volunteers at 10 a.m. on October the 11th in Seattle's Convention Center in preparation for the event that will take place at the Convention Center later at 5 p.m. For more information, log on to uwkc.org/events. At United Way of King County, we are working side by side with communities to build an equitable future for everyone. Hourglass United Way is a podcast that highlights how we and our partners spend time making a difference in our communities. Our work is made possible by the generous donations from people like you. Please send comments and suggestions about our podcast to hourglassunitedway@gmail.com. To learn more about our work or to support United Way, log on to uwkc.org. I'm your host, Joe Burris. Thanks for listening. Until next time.